What's up, Cats fans? Paul here from the Hoops Crew to talk to you today about the very sad story of Tom Hawkins. Now, I've already discussed this a little bit in my match reaction video this past weekend. And obviously, we lost by over 60 points, and that was really disappointing. But I think the thing that saddened me most is the fact that Tom Hawkins may have potentially played his last career game. Now, as of when I record this, there's been some little news tidbits starting to make its way out there over the course of the last few hours, and I'll double check some of those. There was some commentary during the Geelong and Port Melbourne VFL game where our 8-game losing streak sadly came to an end that day. But to, I guess, kind of summarize, there's been a little update where it does seem that he's avoided the worst case outcome, but there are still several outcomes plausible here that may rule him out for the remainder of the season. And if that's the case, I'm concerned that this might have been the last time that we see Tom Hawkins step out on a football field at the AFL level. And that's really, really sad, because you think about all that he has accomplished over the years across he's a club legend. He will be inducted as such in due course across a club leading. How many games has he played now? What's the total? Where are we at? Come on, give me a number. Games. 359 AFL games at this particular point, having debuted back in 2007. Tom Hawkins has done extraordinary things for the Geelong Football Club. He's kicked 796 goals. He's 4 goals short of a monstrous milestone. Very, very, very few players have ever achieved 800 goals. Obviously, we've seen the likes of Buddy as a member of this kind of generation of players achieve more than that. But they're diamonds in the rough. Tom Hawkins is a phenomenal full forward, has given away so many goals himself. And I don't want to kind of get into a contest, but Buddy versus Tom, when you kind of factor in goal assists and all the sorts of things that you can kind of, we're not here to have that conversation right now. Right now, we're here to talk about the distinct possibility that we may never see Tom step foot on an AFL field ever again as a player. And that would be devastating. Like, if this is a Liz Frank injury, if this is some sort of recurrence of previous injuries, I know we desperately want him to kick 800 goals, and that would be an amazing end to a career. But I'd be just devastated if he doesn't get a final game. That the next time we see Tom Hawkins on an AFL field is in a motorcade. And that'd be awful. But it also feels like a very real possibility as things stand. And of course, the club hasn't really officially commented yet. Chris Scott spoke about it in the post game and kind of stressed it wasn't the best, but it also wasn't the worst outcome. That's a little bit hard to gauge. It was a very, very non-committal comment from Chris, and I totally understand it, because at that point he needed to go for scans. There was a whole range of things that needed to be done, and Chris could not possibly speak authoritatively on the situation. But we may hear from Tom in the next couple of days. And we might get a little bit of insight into what the situation is. And is there a possibility that before the season is out, that Tom Hawkins will get to return? I sincerely hope that he gets out there for not just one, but maybe 2 or 3 games and can kick 1 to 2 goals a game and eclipse the 800 goal milestone. That would be an incredible outcome. We know he's struggled a little bit at points this year. His form has been patchy for sure. And so there's no guarantees that if he returns that he's going to get those 4 goals anyway. But that's where I go back to my kind of bare minimum hope, is that Tom Hawkins returns for the Cats and plays one final game. That would be a phenomenal outcome. It's something that he absolutely deserves. And I think that all supporters would absolutely love to see. I know there's some out there that are saying, it's time to retire, he needs to be out. And they were saying this before the injury. But I don't think a single one of those Cats supporters would be begrudging the opportunity to see Tom pull on the hoops one final time. Now, I've kind of defended Tom a little bit this year. And I've focused on, up to this point, the possibility that, it's career over. But there's a few measures that show that maybe that's not necessarily the case. He's kicked 15 goals this year, and that's certainly, he's kicking a goal a game at this point in terms of just the rounds that we've had. Of course, he's actually kicking a bit more than that. He's played how many games so far this season? I don't think it's going to give me that statistic. I'm not going to be able to pull that quickly. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to pull that quickly. But he's kicking a little bit over a goal a game. It's not horrible, but it looks worse because of the current run of form of the Cats. Our current, we've won 1 from our last 7. It's pretty dire for the Cats at the moment. And we've spoken a little bit about that, and there's a lot of discourse about that online as well. And I certainly want as much of that to kind of dull a little bit as possible. We've come off the back of 20 years of phenomenal Geelong football, and it's got to come to an end at some point. But also the green shoots are clearly there. We're seeing these younger blokes through the VFL really step up and deliver, and I'm sure the football club is going to be back into a really competitive spot in a matter of a couple of years. I genuinely have that feeling about this next crop that's coming through already. They're looking really, really good. The ones that we've seen at the AFL level and the ones that are tearing it up in the VFL level at the moment as well. There's a bit of me that wonders, and obviously I'm mindful of the impact that this, a call like this has on the likes of Shannon Neal, for example, who are, kicking the door down for a spot, and, was likely to come in now for Tom Hawkins' absence and potentially thrive. He kicked 3 goals 3 today as I record this in the VFL loss, and it's certainly not his fault that we lost. He had an amazing game actually, but there's the possibility he misses out on opportunity if Tom Hawkins sticks around next year, and so there's that's kind of got to factor into part of the conversation. But I also think about these numbers, and for a bloke who's struggled and had a 5-week block of 0 goals. It's not actually that bad. The numbers aren't too bad. More tackles than last year. He's, hit out numbers are pretty solid for someone who's, been kind of struggling a little bit. He's getting his hands on the ball all right. He's just not had shots on goal. He's been able to get the goal assists that we know about. He's been, involved in score involvements. All those sorts of numbers track pretty well. Let me bring up the averages. 4.4 hit outs a game. His handball counts roughly the same. Kicks just slightly down. Clearances, we don't count clearances, but he does play as a forward ruck from time to time. Tackles might be close to a career high. No, it's not. But the 2 key metrics are the marking numbers and the goals per game. They're down, but he's been down at points. This guy is not that far off still that 2023, 2022 form. And I could totally see a scenario where he does kick on for 1 more year. I don't know what I hope for at the moment. All I hope right now is that Tom Hawkins gets at least 1 more game this year. Whatever the decision is for next year, I hope that he gets 1 more game this year. Cats fans, let me know in the comments what you think. Let us know on social media. The Hoops Crew. You can find me at Paul James Games. Visit our Patreon, where you'll get early access to a whole range of content. You can sign up, get for 1 week, and not pay a cent, and get the entire lineup of Patreon-only content that we provide, but also then consider sticking around, where you'll get that on a consistent basis as well. It's some really cool stuff. Go check all of it out. Tom Hawkins, I hope that we hear from you this week. I hope that there's some silver lining on the news right now, and that you'll get back before the end of the season, that you might get an opportunity to kick 4 goals. And seriously, to any of the Geelong players watching now, and I hope some of you are, if Tom Hawkins gets even 1 more game, please just feed him the ball. He has the right, after everything he's done, after 359 games of brilliance, he has the right to have 1 selfish game. Feed him the ball, help him kick 4 goals, let him finish on 800 or higher. Thanks a lot for watching. Remain Geelong strong, and I'll see you later.